now. So my name is Lauren. I'm from the Maplegate House for Women. I'm a transitional outreach worker. I just want to thank you all for coming out tonight and helping us honor some really important women. So I would first like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory and that the land on which we are gathered is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically within Serpent River First Nation traditional territory of Ojibwe peoples. We are gathered here today firstly to honor the victims of the December 6th attack at Ecole De Polytechnic in Montreal in 1989. 14 women were murdered by an act of femicide, which is defined as the killing of a woman or a girl by a man and on account of her gender. Today, on White Ribbon Day, not only do we remember all lives lost as a result of gender-based violence, we also vow to take action against gender-based violence to ensure that members of our community are able to live without the fear of violence based on their gender identity, and perceived gender. In addition, it is our Indigenous communities that face a disproportionate level of violence. This violence is a result of a history of stigmatization, colonization, and racism. Women in these communities face violence not only because they are women, but because they are Indigenous. With that said, I would like to introduce from Serpent River First Nation, Mr. Terrence Jacobs, who will lead us in honoring all missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
Everyone, big crowd. I'm Terrence Jacobs here. I'm glad it's not a big crowd because I'm terrible at public speaking and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna do a little honor song for missing and murdered Indigenous women, and I'm not a regular singer. I used to sing a long time ago, and I'm just kind of, so I'm not very good. So bear with me. I'm not the best, but I'm here. Right?
Jacobs, thank you.
Thank you.
How do I follow that? Oh my God. No, by all means. Anyway, it's sometimes difficult to process numbers, like that roughly one woman is killed every other day in Canada just for being a woman. Or that gender-based violence doesn't discriminate in age. In fact, gender-based violence kills women as young as 2 and as old as 94. Or, as Lauren mentioned, that our indigenous female population that make up just under 5% of our total population experience 20% of reported gender-based violence. That's just reported. The greatest risk for women who experience gender-based violence is from men that they have dated or are currently dating. Ultimately, what these numbers and statistics mean is that gender-based violence occurs in Elliot Lake. It occurs in Blind River. It occurs to our friends, our family, and it's in our social groups. And our hope is that initiatives like this one, streaming on Facebook, publicly presented in the heart of our city centers, will show that talking about gender-based violence isn't a taboo subject. We must erase the stigma and empower our women and give them safety. So with that said, if you or anyone you know is experiencing gender-based violence, please make your voice heard. Call our helplines. It's going to be posted below. We also have a crisis line available, or your local crisis center. That's fine. Or our counseling centers. That being said, to better speak on this note, I would like to introduce an unprecedented community leader and role model. She's also the director of the Maplegate House, an organization that's operated for 36 years, providing safety for women within our community. I have the fortune of volunteering for Melody as well as working alongside her, and I can attest that her brilliance comes with an equal amount of warmth and genuine compassion. Melody Rose.
Thank you everyone that's tuning in to watch this and that is here joining us. And thank you for the drumming, that was beautiful. This is a really serious subject, and the commemoration of the women from Montreal that this happened to in 1989 is really important to keep at the forefront. This is something that is really accelerated over the last year. We spoke about this at Take Back the Night, and the increase in number of cases that we've seen and the level of risk that we're seeing. And this is in our own communities in East Algoma, and I want people to reach out. If you even think that someone may be living with violence or abuse of any kind, just reach out and talk to them. Just listen. A lot of times they're very isolated and they just need someone to hear them and give them information where they can get help, which can be the Counseling Center of East Algoma, Le Centre Victoria pour Femmes, and Maplegate House for Women, which has a 24-hour crisis line. This year I would also like to put a special memory out there for the loss we've had in our own community just very recently, and also just very recently we had someone who was a friend that was getting texts call us because she was worried about a friend, and we had to have police go in and remove her from the house because she was being held captive by her partner. And it was a very escalated situation. So if you have any inkling of that, reach out and call, and we'll provide support the best we can. It's serious. The numbers in the last year alone in Ontario are almost double of when I started 12 years ago, which really scares us. So, thank you for tuning in, and I really acknowledge that Indigenous women are at most risk. So please reach out and call us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melody. At this point, if we can please direct your attention over to our white ribbon. We'd like everyone to sign it in solitude, saying that we have the power through activism to end gender-based violence. I want to thank you very, very much for coming out and tuning in. Please enjoy the snacks and the